it was a fiercely contested election, a straight contest between an incumbent seeking a second term and a presidential candidate who has failed twice in his presidential ambition and facing what many consider to be his last chance. The 2016 election was indeed memorable. It was exactly a year ago today that millions of Ghanaians made their way to polling stations across the country to cast their vote. A year on, we bring you a special report that brings back some timeless sounds for that make or break election that kicked out the NDC and brought in the New Patriotic Party. Joining us is Joseph Akabale has more.
Let's join Erastus by Skype.
People have been queuing here since 4 a.m. And this is the Methodist primary.
I'm currently at the Roman Catholic primary school, where voting started some 20 minutes ago.
Joy News reporters across the country could be heard in the early hours of December 7, 2016, indicating that the polls had started in different parts of the country.
The process is very bad. It's not moving at all. It's not moving. And people are just patrolling inside and here and there.
The policemen are not doing their work well. So they are standing there. I don't know why they are standing there. They have to look at it and know whether the line is going or not, because anybody can come and enter.
It was the decision day, a day for millions of citizens to decide who leads them for the next 4 years. A lot had happened in the political space prior to the election day. The famous disqualification of 13 presidential nominees.
The sixth candidate, Dr. Papa Kwesindu of the Progressive People's Party. The Commission is unable to accept Dr. Ndum's nomination because, again, the number of subscribers to his forms did not meet the requirements of Regulation 7.2 of CI 94.
4 of the candidates headed to court, with the PPP being the first to secure a landmark High Court decision ordering that Dr. Ndum be allowed to correct the mistakes on his nomination form.
It is important for those people to believe and understand that they are human beings. They are not there for their own purpose. They are there to carry out the dictates of the laws that set them up.
Others also rushed to the courts, but lawyers for the EC took the matter to the Supreme Court, challenging the decision in favor of Dr. Ndum. The Apex Court directed that all other candidates be given an opportunity to rectify mistakes on their form. EC Chair Charlotte Osei announced the qualified candidates shortly afterwards. The stage was set for the fierce contest. It was not in doubt that the NPP and NDC would be the dominant forces. This was known from the onset of the race. Candidates, party leaders had a go at each other.
We see you, but we see incompetence. We see you, but we see corruption. We see you, but we see mismanagement. We see you, but we see bad governance. We see you, but we want change. We see you, but we want Ghana to move forward.
Till today, no Ghanaian knows the cost of the redenomination exercise. Then the same person and people come and stand and say somebody is incompetent. You are incompetent. Moses asked, how much did it cost us? Simple thing like this, you can't tell us. And you have the nerve to come and talk about corruption.
Let me give Mr. President a free piece of advice. Mr. President, please desist from embarrassing yourself by stating that Moody's has upgraded Ghana. Your economic management team should explain that difference to you.
It is the same with the economy. If you create the impression that the economy is in crisis, Ghana is going back, despite all the scientific basis, even from outside, Moody's comes and upgrades us and says there's more confidence in Ghana's economy. We've gone from negative to stable. And then somebody who calls himself an economist can stand and say there was no Moody's upgrade. I can't think far,
Are we going to give him another 4 years? We are not going to give him another 4 years. He is a threat to the future of our country. We're going to put him aside and bring in Akufo-Addo and the MPP.
I can't think far for no. We can think far. We can think far. We can think far.
The disabled are suffering, and men are suffering. Women are suffering, and children and Ghanaians as a whole are suffering.
48 hours to the polls, all parties wrapped up their campaigns. It was time for the EC chair to declare results. The parties were impatient.
And we think it's about time that we call on our opponents to concede and
We want to assure our supporters and Ghanaians that President Mahama is in a comfortable lead as far as the presidential vote is concerned. We have always known that the NPP will misbehave, but let their misconduct and their misbehavior not deter you and scare you. The victory of the NDC is coming again, and the people say, hey, God.
We therefore project it is almost statistically impossible for President John Dramani Mahama to achieve 50% plus one. Our projection is that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will win the 2016 presidential election.
It is precisely on account of my belief in Ghana and its future that, notwithstanding the irregularities associated with this election, I have decided at this stage to congratulate the President-elect.
On the basis of the foregoing figures, and by the power vested in me as the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the returning officer for the presidential election, it is my duty and my privilege to declare Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you. God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation.
Whether you supported me or not, whether you campaigned for me or not, whether you voted for me or not, I can promise you one thing. I will do my best to serve your interests and put our country back on the path of progress and prosperity.
Well, political parties often deploy the use of propaganda to push the ideals or criticisms of the opponents, and in Ghana, it's no different. In the run-up to the 2016 elections, the then opposition New Patriotic Party consistently accused the governing National Democratic Party Congress of lying and using propaganda to pull the wool over the eyes of Ghanaians. 1 year on, and it appears the tables have turned as the NDC is now accusing the now governing NPP of propaganda. National organizer Kofi Adam says the NPP is struggling to fulfill what he describes as packaged lies they sold to Ghanaian voters to win the 2016 general election. He spoke with Araba Kumsing on the Pulse.
We fought the fight the best that we could at that time, because how were you going to explain the issues of the energy crisis or even the labeling of acts of corruption? Yes, you do it, some people will believe, others will not. You extend development project to community. You, like say water, community need water, you go and do the water. The MPP agents will go there and go and tell the community that, look, the money spent on doing just this one water system for you could have done 2 or 3, so that it will cover a lot more areas and you don't have to converge at one point. Meanwhile, they knew they were packaging falsehood. Even when you go back and tell the people the truth with all the contractual evidence, it's difficult for them to believe you that what you are telling them is the truth, even though you have evidence. Today, having been in power, they are doing the same thing that costs even more. The vice president was saying fishermen are suffering. Today, not only are fishermen suffering, their premix is being diverted. It's being reported by some stations, I don't know whether you have also reported it, that 200 trucks loaded with premix have been diverted. Right. And that is close to about 22 million Ghana cedi plus. Can you imagine what that will do? That not only are fishermen suffering, as the vice president put it, their little premix that they use for their business is being diverted and money is put in the pockets of people who are supposed to serve them. You think that today, his vice president can go and stand before these fishermen and tell them that your situation in 2016 was worse than it is today? No, they know today they are suffering more. Their situation has been made worse. destroy this.
Okay, you talked about the MPP packaging falsehood, and apparently that falsehood sold off. I mean, they were able to garner the votes that they needed to win the election.
Sure, Araba.
So, I mean, in the wake of all of this, do you think you could have fought a better fight? There are many who said that you didn't have a message and that all you were doing was countering the MPP's message.
We put out our message there. It's like saying that the temporal defeat that Christ, people thought that he suffered, was a defeat forever. Satan can win on some occasions, but will not win forever. Sometimes lies can give you victory, as it has done now. But the lies cannot sustain you. And that is what is confronting this government, that in everything they are doing, they are being exposed.
Meanwhile, Deputy Communications Director of the Convention People's Party, Irambo Moses, says the party is disappointed in the MPP's failure to translate the organized front and the enthusiasm with which they contested the 2016 general elections into positive words. He added the party is also surprised the once no-nonsense Akufo-Addo has allowed the governing MPP's vigilante groups to visit mayhem on innocent Ghanaians. He recounted how their party was outmatched by the MPP and the NDC a year ago at the 2016 election.
We in the Convention People's Party cannot boast of the resources our colleagues in the MPP or the NDC will have. So, of course, you could see that the competition or that ground on that length was not that fair to us because we couldn't compete financially. Of course, but I will not say that the MPP didn't go the extra mile. They did. Because I recall, I was privileged to be at the National Coalition Center. And I must tell you, when we were there, I think even they won. I think it should be around 11:30 getting to 12 a.m. They had almost 70% of the results already. And I was like, how did you get the results? I said, well, we have our people on the ground and they've done the assessment and everything. So, and the results, when they started trickling in, you could see that the results that was coming from the EC, it was the same as what the MPP had on the ground. So they were well prepared than maybe all the other parties because to have the results within the same day, over 70% of polling stations, and it means a lot of work was done. We saw that, you know, the kind of planning they did, the kind of strategy they had, the kind of preparedness they had. If they come to power, this same thing will come to play. But for me and the CPP, we are looking at this like, look, Nana Akufo-Addo has not performed to me personally exceedingly. Maybe an average performance will do. Why am I saying this? As I said earlier, we saw the kind of zeal and the kind of promises they came to office with. Of course, they promised Ghanaians a lot of things. Free education, which is a good policy. For us in the CPP, free education has been our manifesto since 2000. But because we don't have the voice, people don't even know. Any good thing must be planned well. But look towards that, look, this thing was not well planned. Fine, we are not saying the policy shouldn't be rolled out. We will start from somewhere. But when you plan, of course, he has a 4-year mandate. I don't think if he did free education in his 3rd year, we will complain because still he has done it. So it should have been well thought out so that all these loopholes we are seeing now, maybe if we planned it a year or two, it would have been better.
What loopholes are you talking about?
Of course, the congestion in the schools, the feeding, how the students are even crying foul. Most of the parents, as we speak, some parents will go to these schools and say, look, when my ward came for midterms, I could even see his condition. I don't like the condition, so I'm even withdrawing him and taking him to a private school. The congestion, the heat, there are so many things happening. Even the dining, they have to take turns and the quality of the food. So we believe that the Ghana card is a step in the right direction. You see, we are all saying this. Of course, they've done several other things, paperless systems. They are all things that are bringing enough resources into the economy. But you see, after they've done all these positives, there is one thing that is really marring the entire performance of Akufo-Addo. That is within the force of the MPP, vigilantism. These groups, for a group to have the audacity to go into a court proceeding and storm there and stop proceedings and be able to even release some of their colleagues, this is totally unacceptable.
Well, President Akufo-Addo wants his ministers to imbibe the spirit of humility and servitude as they serve the people of Ghana. He was speaking at a special Thanksgiving service on Thursday to reflect on a year since they clinched victory in the make-or-break general election on December 7, 2016.
it's appropriate that we renew our prayers for our nation. That the Almighty continues to preserve the peace, the unity, and the freedom of Ghana. That those whom He has called to serve in government, that He continues to endow them with the spirit of humility and a spirit of service, so that they can address the needs of the people of Ghana for progress and prosperity. And me, who is selected to lead the team, I continue to seek His prayer, that He gives me wisdom, that He gives me strength, that He gives me compassion and humility, so that I can be a good leader for His Ghanaian flock.
The party at its Thanksgiving service decided to donate the offertory received to the Weija Leprosarium, an act that has been lauded by Chairman of the Lepers Aid Committee, Reverend Father Andrew Campbell.
I was very happy to hear yesterday that the offering today at this one-year celebration will be given to the lepers at Weija. And it shows that they want to help the poor and the needy, which is very good. Our people out in Weija and other parts of Ghana who are inflicted with the leprosy need help. They certainly do need help. So when I heard this, I was very, very, very happy to be able to be told that today's offering would go towards them. It'll help them a lot. It's near Christmas time, and they'll be able to buy gifts for them and look after them in every way. So it'll go a long way to help them to make this Christmas a happy Christmas. In fact, I'm hoping it'll be a nice sum to be able to take care of them in Weija. Because on the coming Sunday, we're inviting all the lepers from Ho and from Weija to Christ the King. And their Labadi Beach Hotel is going to give them a nice 5-star lunch, their Christmas lunch. So all are coming together. It shows that the poor and needy are a treasure in society. They are a treasure to us because they make us aware of what we have. They have nothing, but in the end they've got everything. And as the gospel reading today at the ceremony told us on Luke chapter 17, to give thanks to God. One came back and said, thank you. The lepers teach you. They always teach you to say thank you. My first Christmas gift every year is always from the lepers. And it's always a turkey and yams and tomatoes. That's the first gift I ever get every year. That's what they do. They tell me that, they have nothing but they have everything. They are happy and they don't have all that we have. But yet they are happy and they are content and they give thanks to God. And it should teach us too. We who have should never forget those who haven't got. Because on the last day, Matthew 25, when I was hungry, when I was in prison, when I was in Weija lepers, did you remember me? Or you won't be able to say, yes, Lord, we did not forget you, we helped you.